While Days Gone may never ever get a sequel to see the light of day, it is getting a remaster here with Days Gone Remastered, a PS5 version of the third-person open-world biker Oregon-based shooter from 2019. And if you happen to not play the game or want to jump back into it, this game is getting a bunch of different enhancements with this Days Gone Remastered version coming out for PS5. So without further ado, let's go into things like the pricing, the release date, the features, the upgrade path, and everything that is new included with Days Gone Remastered. As with every all info video here on the channel, you'll be able to go in those time codes and jump around to the exact thing that you want to know about the game in question. Starting off here, let's go over the release date, pricing, upgrade path, and pre-order bonuses for Days Gone Remastered. So the game is coming out on April 25th for PS5 with PS5 Pro support, and the new content that is coming with this Days Gone Remastered on PS5 will also be coming to PC as well with the Broken Road DLC that will be released alongside the release of Days Gone Remastered on April 25th as well. So for new customers that have never bought Days Gone, and you're just on PS5, you want to buy the remaster, it will cost $50 for you to get that edition of the game. But if you purchase a copy of Days Gone back on PS4 in 2019, whether it be physically or digitally, you can access the upgrade path that will get you Days Gone Remastered for $10. However, if you got Days Gone via the PS Plus collection on PS5 or back in April 2021, when the game was a monthly PS Plus game, you unfortunately do not have access to the $10 upgrade path, which I get it because you never technically paid for it technically, even though I would argue that you were a PS Plus subscriber during that time. But down below, how do you feel about that, guys? If you did get Days Gone on PS Plus in any form or fashion, whether it be the PS Plus monthly games or the PS Plus collection on PS5, you will not be able to get the upgrade path. If you do happen to pre-order this edition of the game, and I think if you pre-order the upgrade path as well, you'll get access to a few PSN avatars that have a couple of characters from the game like Deacon, Boozer, etc. And you'll also get some really cool early in-game unlocks like the crossbow and some upgrades for your bike as well, which are honestly pretty helpful for those early hours in the game. Now to double back about that Broken Road DLC for PC, so this will be released on April 25th and it will contain all of the extra and new content that is coming with the Days Gone Remaster, but for PC. So this will come with the Horde Assault mode, Permadeath mode, Speedrun mode, DualSense haptic feedback support, new accessibility features, and the enhanced photo mode. All these will be detailed in this video moving forward, but for PC, what's oddly enough is that this Broken Road DLC is meant to be purchased if you already have Days Gone. So you have to go and buy Days Gone itself on Steam or Epic Game Store, and then you will have access to also buy the Broken Road DLC for $10 as well. So you can't really get a one package end all be all, right? You have to get the base game of Days Gone and then buy this additional $10 Broken Road DLC to get all of the remastered content that comes with Days Gone Remastered. So kind of weird there. Not sure why they're doing it that way, but you know what? It is what it is. Next up, let's go over some PS5 features for Days Gone Remastered that include resolution, frame rates, and more. So this is developed for PS5 itself with, quote, improved graphical fidelity, increased foliage draw distance, improved shadow and lighting quality, Tempest 3D audio, VRR support, and more, along with an interview with creative and product lead at Bend Studio, Kevin McAllister, stated that the game will also have increased fog depth, with nighttime being more darker in certain scenes, and the moon having a much more natural look to it at night. Out of all things, the blue sky also gets a little benefit here with it being a little bit more accurate to the true blue sky that we have on Earth as well. And they also confirmed that the game will have both a performance mode and a quality mode for improved frame rates and resolutions respectively to each mode. But they make mention of the game having enhancements for PS5 Pro, but they don't really highlight those PS5 Pro supported features that are going to be enhanced with that console. I think this is a very poor choice of just a decision, and I think that it's really weird that they wouldn't talk about PS5 Pro support with that being their latest console that they have released. That leads me to believe that it might not be that groundbreaking or much of a difference. I find that hard to believe because if it's PS5 Pro enhanced, what are the enhancements? Like, we've seen plenty of games be enhanced by PS5 Pro. Don't know why they did not detail that here in the research for this video. But some DualSense features did get confirmed here for Days Gone Remastered. Those include haptic feedback and adaptive triggers for the controller as well that will ensure that players will, quote, feel the rain of the Pacific Northwest and feel the dirt from the bike being kicked up as you ride the open trails. This new version of Days Gone will be giving us a suite of new accessibility features for the game, including high contrast mode, game speed editing, UI narration, collectible audio cues, controller remapping, the greatly welcomed field of view slider, in my opinion, and more that will be in the game when it comes out. So aside from the core functionality and feature set of Days Gone Remastered, they will be including 3 new modes with the game itself, and one of them is a very cool addition to the game with Horde Assault Mode. So this will be a wave-based endless arcade mode where players will be tasked with surviving hordes of freakers that can reach up to 800 total with this new remaster on PS5, breakers, reachers, Rager Bears, and more, all while striving to achieve the highest score possible before death. Everyone starts out with just a pistol that builds up to you getting your bike eventually and acquiring more items and weapons across the mode's 4 open regions. There are supply boxes that are scattered across the open world that have powerful weapons in them, with the mode overall having about 20 weapons to use, with one brand new weapon that has never been seen in the game at all, that is the flamethrower that will be available on Horde Assault Mode. As you're fighting to survive in the Horde Assault Mode, you will be given side jobs that are mini objectives that the players can complete to earn resources and additional XP, such as killing 10 swarmers with Molotovs or killing 50 swarmers with any weapon. But the blog did state that every 30 minutes of survival in Horde Assault Mode will spawn an ultimate horde on the map. This has been described as being a never-ending horde fight in a relentless approach to hunt you down, and they didn't give any details on that, so we'll see what that fully means when the game comes out. But as you fight freakers across all the different regions of the Horde Assault Mode, you'll be able to progress and level up through this reward path to earn bonuses like playable characters, new patch cosmetics, and gameplay modifying injectors. So first up, let's go over the injectors here. They are gameplay modifying elements that have certain bonuses or decreases to overall score. So the game has 24 unique injectors, 12 negative injectors, and 12 positive injectors. So the positive injectors provide a penalty to your score, but increase your chance of survival with gameplay benefits like having unlimited fuel for your bike, but having a negative 10% overall to your final score. Negative injectors provide a bonus to your score, but adds hindrances to gameplay like melee weapons breaking more easily, with a 10% bonus to your final score. So basically, you're going to use these injectors to either make the game harder or easier. If you make the game easier, you will get less score. If you make the game harder, you'll get more overall score at the end of your run. Patches also make a return to Horde Assault Mode, but rather than applying stat buffs like in the Challenges DLC in 2019, these patches are purely cosmetic and will be carried over to the main game as well to use on your story quest. As you level up in Horde Assault Mode, you'll also get access to new playable characters aside from Deacon and Boozer, like O'Brien, Skizzo, Ricky, Iron Mike, and more, because they do say that there will be 6 total characters to unlock with this mode. Now, one other thing that they don't really give a lot of details for is that when you complete the target score in all 4 regions of this mode, you will unlock a special reward for your bike, and they say that, you know, it's something that is a highly requested feature over the years. I have no idea what that can mean, but down below, if you know what that could mean or what that's possibly alluding to, let me know down below in the comment section. So this mode to me honestly sounds really fun, with the overall kind of horde mode mechanic in Days Gone as a whole. Having that in this endless wave-based type of arcade mode seems like a lot of fun to me, and they do say here that it adds about 10 more hours of additional gameplay to the game itself, but it's intended to be played after beating the main story and treated as endgame content, which I think is a little bit weird because the mode will be available regardless of if you beat the game or not. So not sure why they are making that little caveat there and saying that they intend for this to be endgame content. Maybe they're afraid like players will like struggle with it or something like that. that, or like it'll be too hard that they haven't beat the game as a whole. Not sure what that means, but apparently this is meant to be end game content. Now, aside from Horde Assault mode, there are 2 other modes in Days Gone Remastered, including Permadeath mode, which is exactly how it sounds like. You get 1 life, no saves. If Deacon dies, that's it, you're done, you're back to the game starting screen, okay? But there are ways where you can make this a little bit easier on yourself, where you can play this mode on any difficulty, and you get to choose whether Permadeath mode is for the entire game itself or chapter by chapter based. So if you die in a chapter, you pick up after that chapter instead of going to the beginning of the game itself. There is also a speedrun mode in the game as well, where you can play this on any difficulty, and it will add an on-screen counter that pauses during cutscenes and cinematics, and after beating the game on speedrun mode, you will get access to a little special graphic that will show some detailed stats about your run, and they'll be extremely shareable to brag and show off that you beat Days Gone Remastered in a pretty quick pace. And we do have some photo mode enhancements to end off here with Days Gone Remastered that will include more lighting options such as a 3-point system and the ability to instantly switch between day and night, along with new logo options that will be available as well. So that is all the info you need to know about Days Gone Remastered for PS5, launching on April 25th. So overall, man, I really want to check out that Horde Assault mode, but it is, pretty cool to see all these different little upgrades, especially the upgrade path being available for those that already bought the game like myself. But I do want to end off this video with a little PSA for those that have never played Days Gone, okay? Back in 2019 when this game came out, a lot of the reviewers reviewed a version of Days Gone that the public never got to access because there were a lot of bugs and different glitches and different issues with the game that reviewers had to experience and endure during the review period that were alleviated completely with the day 1 patch and many patches after the fact, right? But it was a very clear delineation between the Days Gone version that reviewers had to play and review and base their scores off of versus the day 1 patch version that the entire player base got to experience on day 1. And those two things were very, very different in terms of overall quality. So the game score, I feel like, is definitely a lot lower than what Days Gone truly is at its core with the day 1 patch. Not to say that those reviewers were bad or wrong or malicious or anything like that. They just got a game that, was not day 1 patch, and I blame Sony for that more than anyone. So overall, if you see some reviews and you think that this game is trash based on only the reviews, I would highly recommend checking out some reviews that were kind of after the fact, because the game is a lot better than what the score is currently. And I think, honestly, it's a pretty good game, man. It's not the best game in the world. It's not no God of War or Last of Us, but I think from Sony Bend, it is a very, very fun experience to check it out if you want to play an open world zombie killing game with some cool, interesting twists involving the narrative being more biker gang focused that you don't see every day in games. But overall, guys, what are you most excited for to check out with Days Gone Remastered, including the different modes, the different enhancements, or are you new to the game and you cannot wait to play it for your first time? Let me know all those thoughts down below in the comment section, and keep it locked to your own PlayStation source to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. Thank you all for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.